Gosh, good morning, Jalf. Welcome to our radio show right here
Apologies
on
about
Vice FM.
each week we bring some views, news, and one or two clues from the business world.
Asian Business Connections aims to connect, support, and promote the Asian and wider community.
And we'll be talking shop quite literally, not just corner shops. Whether you look to start a business, have an existing business, or you just want to talk business, we can help.
We can help. We can help. Gosh, Jalf, Friday the 16th.
Oh, is that what it is? Friday the 16th. My goodness, September. The time is flying.
Yeah, obviously it's got nothing to do with Friday the 16th. I obviously missed out the September bit. It's just crazy.
It really is.
What's been happening?
Nothing beyond just the usual stuff. Obviously, consumed. The whole week has been consumed by Her Majesty's funeral arrangements and everything else in terms of the media and the mood of the nation. But to be honest,
and how have you felt about that?
I think personally, Ammar, I think I mean, we need to celebrate and mourn the death of our monarch, who is therefore ruled for 70 years. I think some of the things that have happened, though, I would probably disagree with. So, for example, taking away all the football last weekend, but then the cricket was on, the rugby was on, and I just felt that it would have been nicer to come together outside of your homes and show our kind of gratitude as a collective on the football field, as was done in some of the Champions League games later on in the week. So I felt that was like a big missed opportunity, because whilst they call it, 10 days of mourning, but we're not going to literally physically mourn at home and sit in bed and cry for the Queen. We absolutely have respect for the Queen, but it's not like it's a death within someone that was very, very close to you, family-wise or friends-wise. So I felt that it would have been better spent that we go out and mourn or show our gratitude in public. So there's things like that, I guess, I would disagree with. And it is a kind of, I don't know why you have to shut everything down on the Monday. I know it's a bank holiday, but operators that usually open on the bank holiday, they all seem to be closed, and airlines are disrupted, and there's so much going on the Monday. And I think finally, Ammar, the cost of all of this to the public purse, when people can't pay energy bills and this, that, and the other, I think that needs consideration as well.
Interesting. I respect and admire your courageous outspokenness. However, I absolutely and utterly disagree with everything other than the very valid and legitimate points that you made at the beginning. So absolutely spot on to suggest that there shouldn't have been any knee-jerk cancellation of football and allowing other things to go on, and this happening and that happening and whatever else. I think that was purely a knee-jerk reaction. And if you look at the Great North Run, it went ahead and people came together, and sort of part of that was that sense of community. As to whether people should sit in bed and cry for a few days because it's not an immediate family member or someone who is close to them, I'd probably say that, look, everyone everywhere had a relationship with Our Majesty the Queen. Everybody did, right? However, whatever that relationship is and was, is very personal. There's people who have queued for 30 hours to walk past Her Majesty's coffin just to say their respect, right? Millions of people are travelling everywhere to get to London to see and be offered that opportunity. And not just because it was Our Majesty the Queen, but because of that sense of community, that sense of purpose, that sense of togetherness, which it absolutely has done so. So I think I totally agree with your point around the closure or suspension of, sorry, the rescheduling of events last
Yeah.
weekend and
So
such like. I
yeah, very much.
disagree with your point, however, that people shouldn't close on Monday. I think they absolutely should. And I'm delighted that people are being given a bank holiday to go, and whether they're a royalist, a loyalist, a Republican, or whatever it is, everyone is equal in this regard, and there is equal opportunity for people to remember the Queen however they want, whether that's in a good way or sadly for some, if that's like, oh, well, I didn't really appreciate her or whatever that is. So for me, I think what we have seen and demonstrated globally is our ability to celebrate and recognize one of the last greatest, arguably for me, the greatest monarch ever. Is because she's gone through this modernization. She's seen the colonialism that existed and overseen the freedom and the liberation of people and communities. And she represents both past, present, and helped support the development of the future. So I think it's outrageous, Jeff.
Well, no, hold on. My point, what I was the point that I made was connected more really to the football. So what I was trying to say is, as opposed to us being at home, sitting there, effectively mourning, I would much rather be outside, be as a part of the community spirit that would have been created,
Yeah,
for
no, you're
example, at
right.
St. James Park or wherever, and pay your respects in that way. Because whilst I
Yeah.
understand everyone has a connection, of course, I have a connection, family have a connection, my mother has a connection, watching the TV hours on end. So everyone has their own connection with the Queen, but I'm not sitting there crying though at home.
Yeah, I
And
was.
I don't want to
I
be,
have been.
I don't want to be
I've been
locked,
crying.
but I don't want to be locked in the house to mourn the death of the Queen. I would rather go out at a football match and pay my respects with all the things that they did, where the masks, where they had all the flags at half mast, and they were holding flags that they had an image of the Queen, the Glasgow Rangers supporters. It was like, and they were singing the national anthem, absorbing the minute silence and paying the respects in that way. So what I was trying to say is, I don't know of, yes, people have absolutely, they have a connection, but those football fans, they did everything at that match because of that connection. So I felt that that connection would have been better displayed publicly as opposed to calling off all of the games and stay at home and mourn. But you're not going to stay at home and mourn, was my point. So
Well, okay. Some people will. Some people do.
well, maybe
As in, I might have cried. Yeah, is the
I
thing.
mean it depends, of
I
course.
think there's two separate things here. I think going back to, and I wouldn't want to mix them up, but your point around people coming together and being given opportunities to feel a community and recognize and celebrate. You're just upset about the football. I get that, but 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 being given the opportunity to come together and celebrate and recognize all of that. Anyway, I just think it's been amazing to see. And I was like, every single day, I've looked at it and I've thought, I should be in London. I could be in London. I should be in London. But then, obviously, I'm not there. And then even the good wife had suggested a couple of days, oh, let's go to London. And I was sat there thinking, I could put my uniform on, and because of the challenge, you can't get in anywhere, hotel wise. You can't get trains. You can't get like on planes. You just can't get there. And then when you get there, you've got nowhere to stay or sleep.
Yeah.
And then I was sat there thinking, well, I could take the family down, and I could put my uniform on,
Make a few calls.
and I could be in the barracks, but then the family could be sleeping in a tent. As one of the conversations we were having in the office yesterday. Obviously, don't tell the family this. But yeah, I'm looking forward to. There's a number of services happening on Monday. There's a few on Sunday. So anyway, it is. Everyone needs to pay their own respect and appreciation and recognition. And at all of the Jumas, there'll be a prayer said today. Anyway, have you been watching any of it, Jalf? Lying in bed?
No, I've been watching. I mean, obviously the ceremonial stuff. Look, the history is just second to none, isn't it? I mean, I don't think there's a monarch anywhere where they can do things with so much grace, and the history and the way that everything's been preserved. And as we've discussed before, whilst people can criticize the monarchs and the royal family, but what they bring in terms of the old school Britishness, I think it's something that we should hold as a nation, because it's just shows the values that this country was built on. And the order, the organization, the colors, the history, I mean, the etiquette, it's just unbelievable.
It is beautiful, and we're never going to see it in our lifetime. And that's why I feel as if, yes, there might be some challenges in getting to London, but I do feel like I should be there. Although Brentford's playing tomorrow, aren't they? Although Brentford's Bournemouth even.
Yeah. But I think you probably get more of a sense of obviously people that are there, they're very fortunate. Those that can't be there, rather than being stuck in 10th row in the crowd, you probably get a better picture of it on TV, wouldn't we?
Oh, well, no, without a doubt. But it's not the same, is it? It's like you go to a concert, right? And you can watch the concert from the comfort of your home, and you can see everything. You've got the best view ever. But you don't get that feeling, do you? You don't get that sense of community. Although alongside going to the football tomorrow, my in-laws are coming up, and actually,
were you going with?
Sorry,
were you going with
to the match? Just me and Yusuf.
I thought you were taking your father-in-law.
No. He's a Red. I'm at the Everton game in a couple of weeks' time. That's a midweek evening, and I might be taking Uncle Joey, who is a blue through and through.
All right.
But apparently, we just got this notification saying no away type strips or stripes or memorabilia, and you can't have this and you can't do that, and it's like, oh, that's interesting given the fact where we're sat, because we're sat next to all of the away sort of management and like all of the sort of owners and things like that. So,
yeah, but they are there doing the thing. I guess they can hold it in a little bit better than some of the fans can sometimes, I think. I don't know how they do it.
You're right.
But they've got particular, the director's etiquette that they have to follow. You must wear a tie. I mean, to get into the director's box in Anfield, you have to wear a tie, otherwise you're not allowed in. Even Roman Abramovich, when he rocked up one day, he didn't have a tie. They had to borrow him a tie to wear.
Yeah, they did. They lent him a tie, yeah. Which is interesting. Anyway, headlines. So, obituary, Queen Elizabeth II, Great North Run, tribute paid to the Queen before Jacob Kablimo and Helen Aubrey win races. UK inflation, Jeff, eases too. Sorry, let me just, obviously I'm not following my protocol. The producer has pulled together. So the headlines were obviously the Queen, Great North Run, and UK inflation, Jeff, eases to 9.9% from 10.1%. But
Well, jump up and down.
It's still 10%, isn't it? I mean, whatever you want to, as in the cost of everything is 10% more.
Yeah.
And the price of sterling is 10% less.
It's shocking.
So that compounded.
At the moment.
Well, the sterling is ridiculous. If you're paying for anything international, it's like you're getting $1.15 or something like that. I was looking at some exchanges, and it's just like, normally we're pegged at around about 1.5 plus. So you would always get $1.5 plus, but for it to be the same as the euro, or slightly more than a euro, is just extraordinary.
Yeah, it's shocking.
It is shocking. Business topic of the week: so teamwork makes the dream work. It's teamwork is important because it enables your team to share ideas and responsibilities, which helps reduce stress on everyone, allowing them to be meticulous and thorough when completing tasks. This will enable them to meet sales goals quickly. There are many different topics under teamwork and certain steps that take working as a team to the next level. Informing: you may have to relay information clearly to your team to productively and correctly complete projects. Instructing: working in a group requires showing others how to do things or expressing alternative ways to complete tasks. Guiding: teamwork often entails guiding each other through steps and taking turns shepherding team members. Setting goals: team members must communicate to form consistent goals on how to measure productivity or success. One way to ensure team alignment is to use a team alignment map. And we have a template that we can share with you when exploring team alignment. And going forward, any template we'll include in the presentation when we're going to talk about them, so that people can see and understand what they are. ABC Awards dinner, Jeff, it's coming up on us fast, 20th of October, 2022. It's crazy. We've purposefully changed the theme of the event to make it a royal celebration, and we are expecting royal representation, Jeff. Potentially, yeah. Obviously, everything's potentially, but yeah, really exciting for the awards. It's starting to pick up now. Apologies for the sirens in the background. Yes, where I'm at is a crime-ridden, highly deprived area, the worst area in the, well, it says I with tongue in cheek. It's not at all.
Criminals.
Sorry?
Full of sophisticated criminals of the highest order.
Is it? That's outrageous. Why would you say that? That's actually offensive. I imagine half of them would sue you for saying and doing that. And that's exactly the type of thing that they would do. They take great pleasure in being offended. And people do, don't they? People take great pleasure in being offended. Do you not think?
I don't know. I think it's a very, very reactive society, Ammar, that we live in. The fuses are short. People get offended so easily. It's quite funny.
Do you not think there's a sense of pleasure now? There's right, I'm waiting to be offended. And if no one's going to offend me, I need to find something that's going to offend me, or I'm going to take offense at something.
Yeah, I think people are there's certain groups who are very, very spoiled, and interestingly, Ammar, you know, like you have like little kids that are spoiled and that spit the dummy out and whatever. But it's interesting how that kind of traits, they don't actually go away, because when you get into your 30s, 40s, 50s, it's still there. And I experienced some real interesting characters at the restaurants, of people spitting their dummies out, and we're here to give customer service. But sometimes I sit back and I think, wow, you know, that was kind of pretty hilarious. You know, that I remember a day where a particular customer, they wanted to sit. There was two of them. They wanted to sit on a table for six. It was a booth, and we were trying to explain to them, well, I'm sorry, but we have someone coming on that table literally within the next 5 minutes or so. They said, well, yeah, I know, but it's free now. Give me that table. You don't know who I am. And we were saying to them that this was just recent, and we were saying to them that, you know, unfortunately, we can't, because it's already committed to. And the other six came in, and then they just got into a huff and tried to make it out as though that we've done something wrong. You know, like getting upset.
Yeah,
like
so people are.
Yeah.
I think it does go two ways though, Jack. You know, I certainly know for a fact it doesn't and wouldn't happen in any of your venues, but there are many a place, you know, sadly, like one of the times, one of the times, I'm chuckling at myself, right? Because I don't think I spit my dummy out as a kid. I don't think I even had a dummy as a kid, right? But and I was always sort of one of these passive, sort of optimistic, and I'm a very optimistic person. But I do experience occasional sort of dissatisfaction and anger at sort of people just being outright rude or offensive, right? And it's funny because it almost sounds slightly hypocritical to the point that I was making, that people are looking for ways of being offended. I'm certainly far from it. I hate anyone upsetting me, and I would hate to think I ever intentionally upset anyone. But there's been a few occasions, and in particular, one that springs to mind, and I shouldn't be laughing about it because the good lady is highly sensitive and hates ever me sort of reacting. But as I was driving through a drive-through that will remain nameless, looking for a Happy Meal for the children, and I got to the thing, and the lady's asking me. Sorry, I'm chuckling at this because the lady's asking me, "Oh, hello, yes, can I take your order?" And I'm like, and I'm talking to her, and as normal, kids are shouting in my ear. I've all asked them before I've got there, rather than getting there, what they would like. I get there, and they want to change their orders and things like that, but I haven't ordered yet. And this lady, and I'm going, all right, yes, please. And I'm just talking to her naturally and normally, and she's and then all of a sudden, in the middle of it, she's going, "What sauce would you like?" And I'm going, "No, but can I please?" And I say that, and she's going, "I've asked you what sauce you would like." Like that. And I go, "Excuse me?"
Well, why were you
Right?
why were you dithering for instead of telling her straight away?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't even that. I was actually just getting her to sort the previous order out because she'd missed something off and she'd moved on to say, "Well, what sauce would you like?" And I'm going,
Uh-huh.
and I'd simply said, "Please, can I?" And that I remember that. But then when I've gone, "Excuse me, how dare you talk to me like that?" Right? And I've said that, right? And then all of a sudden, I get it in the ear by my good lady going, "You cannot talk to people like that." And I'm going, "Oh my God." And it was just one of those things. What type of standard are you setting for our children? And I'm getting that in that ear. I've got this person shouting at me going, "What sauce would you like?" And obviously isn't having a very good day. And in the midst of this, I'm going, "Okay, thank you." I take, like, because now I just count to like 10. You know, I just take a deep breath and I go, "It's not worth arguing with anyone." Anyway,
Mm,
going back to, and these are third world problems, Jeff, right?
mm,
This is what is like really keeping everyone awake at night. Obviously
yeah.
not. Obviously not. But it is sad. It is sad to see, and then service providers hiding behind that. Oh, I don't need to listen to you.
Mm,
Okay, but can I make a complaint, please?
mhm.
And you're being dead civil, and you're being sort of, like sort of courteous, but you're going, I've had a disservice. Can I make a complaint? I don't need to listen to you. What do you want to complain about? Well, the fact that you're
Yeah,
not helping me. Oh, well, that's outrageous. I'm not going to listen to you.
yeah.
I'm hanging up after you've
It's
spent
it's
two
it's
hours on the
terrible.
phone. Anyway, we're getting a bit
Mm,
emotive and emotional. Just peace, love, and prosperity. We have got a special guest joining us in about 10 minutes, Fleur Brown, who's come to share some details of a wonderful charity. It's a charity that probably some people don't properly understand, and I personally probably don't understand it as well. It's a charity called Crime Stoppers, Jack.
okay.
And Fleur's going to be on to talk about Crime Stoppers
Okay.
and share some details and insights on how you can support um, you know, communities and what type of things you could do and why Crime Stoppers is what it is, and just share and overcome some of those myths and misbeliefs and disbeliefs that exist. But anyway, coming back to the ABC Awards, it's wonderful to have the significant support once again of Gainford Group, nearby Northeast LEP, Newcastle University, the NHS and the Academic Health Science Network, and various other partners. And it's wonderful to have lots of people taking tables and supporting, coming together to celebrate. And going back to the point that I was making, this year's theme is all about royalty. So we're going to be sort of recognizing and in memory of Our Majesty the Queen, um, and then rejoicing and celebrating the appointment of Our Majesty the King. Jeff, it feels, I must admit, it feels for me quite good. It feels different to say King.
I think it's took a bit of used to, but obviously it does feel different. It's probably a nice thing, but I can't see our king being as gracious as what our queen has been over the
I
last
don't
70 years.
know.
They're totally different.
I don't know.
Have
See,
you seen?
I probably feel as if our king would and could and will undoubtedly be gracious. He'll be a different monarch, but I'm actually quite excited at the prospect of what he may bring and what he will do, and that's absolutely not taking away any of the facts that Our Majesty the Queen was an incredible queen, and as I've highlighted and illustrated, for me the greatest monarch that has ever existed, and probably the only one that I know, certainly in my lifetime. But equally, Her Majesty the King. It's just Her Majesty, His Majesty's Revenue and Customs. It's just like it's like everything's his. I just think that it's pretty cool in a world where you cannot be, you cannot shout about being a man, and there's some views around sort of that. I mean, one of the things that I tongue in cheek, and obviously there's some jest. Someone said to me, someone put somewhere, what is this woke world where we've even now appointed a man to do a woman's job?
Our
Did you get
connection
that?
is not the best, I'm not sure what's happening.
Was it not?
More,
Also, you didn't hear. I don't think
I
it's a. I
think
don't
it
think
was,
it's a.
yeah, I think it was something was up there, Ammar.
All right, okay. I think it's at your end. I don't think it's at mine.
All right, okay, maybe it is. I'm not too sure.
I'll um I'll just reroute some of the traffic to to see what's going on and kill some apps on my end so that there isn't any disruption. Um. Anyway, it was a joke. It was said, and you missed it, and there was even
Mm.
a pause for you to get it. Uh, and I'm saddened to have to repeat it because obviously it's no longer funny, but it was something that somebody said to me, saying, "Isn't it an incredibly woke world we live in, where a man is now appointed to do a woman's job?"
Well, yeah, that's very poignant.
It is, but it chimes with your comment around. I think everyone sort of that has come out and said. I imagine he will be a good monarch.
Well, look, it's in the interest of the nation that he is. Hopefully, he'll think independently for our nation because we're out of the EU. We're an independent country. We need to think for the best interests of our society and our people. All this affiliation with um, the EU and this, that, and the other, if that's something that we voted against, then let's become independent and let's become a great nation as we have been in the past and we would hope to be in the future. Because I think we're big enough and strong enough and powerful enough to be a great nation independently. All of these ties up with things that are quite worrying in terms of Prince Charles is always, or King Charles has always been very much into his environmental kind of how to make the world environmentally better, which is a great thing. But some things that worry me is the stance that some of these globalists have on what they feel is better for the environment. I think it's quite dubious. Getting rid of organic farming and this, that, and the other. So hopefully we'll make decisions that are genuinely in the best interest of our nation. And the nation should, if you're looking at the environment, we want to protect the environment. We want to, look at things that genuinely make a difference somehow.
Yeah.
The food that we eat, I want to eat environmentally good food because I'm into food. I want to eat organically as possible. I don't want to eat as much genetically modified food. I don't want us to have big trade deals with certain nations where they really want to pass on their goods to us, which isn't vetted as good as other nations. So, though, if you want to look at the environment, let's look at what benefits us humans first, and let's look at. I mean, for example, this stuff about farming issues that they feel is being. I caught up with a farmer over the last couple of days, and it was so interesting. I went out to a farm near Hexham because we want to look at working with local farmers so that we know the produce is the best as it possibly can be and as organic as it possibly could be. But he's under so much pressure to do things not the organic way. It's unbelievable. So they really need to help the people at the source, which is the beginning of that chain that's going to environmentally ensure that we are protected as people in terms of what we eat, what we consume, the air that we breathe, and A, B, C, and D. So I think they need to really, hopefully, if he is really into the environment, then hopefully we're going to see decisions that genuinely benefit all of us in this country.
And I suppose it's that lack of understanding or appreciation, Jeff, that is part of the challenge, isn't it? It's people don't know what they don't know, and the policies that sort of are developed almost in a vacuum, aren't they? So, so for years ago, there was very little consequence of saying or doing anything about nuclear power or coal and all of those things. Now, lots of countries are having been forced to go back to it, right? And those decisions were rational and not necessarily thought through and reactive. Anyway, we've got our special guest here now, and it's wonderful to have Fleur on our show. Let's get Fleur on the show. Good morning, Fleur. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Good morning. Hi, Ammar. How
Hey, hi.
are you this morning?
Yeah, great and lovely for you to join us this morning. And I appreciate, Fleur, that you were slightly anxious and apprehensive of coming on to a live radio show. But
I know it's pretty scary, Ammar, but I'm sure you guys will look after me.
yeah, please don't worry. This is Jalf. I'll let Jalf introduce himself.
Hi, Jeff.
Well, I've been doing show business with Ammar for over kind of 10 years now. So we're best buddies, but along with that, I have some restaurants in the city centre of Newcastle and in Jesmond that we've historically done as a family many, many years. That's a little snippet of what I do.
So very busy.
Yes, absolutely. Always busy.
So Fleur, if you may, let's kick off with introducing you, if that's all right. So let's start by asking you what you do, why you do it, and where do you do it?
Okay, so my name's Fleur Brown, and firstly, thank you very much for inviting me on your show as well. So thank you, and hello and morning to your listeners as well. So I'm Fleur Brown. I'm regional manager for Crime Stoppers. So I actually cover the North East region. And I'm here really to raise awareness of what Crime Stoppers, who they are, what they do. So basically, we're an independent charity, and we help communities to speak up and stay safe. And basically, we give people the power to speak up and pass information about crime 100% anonymously. I mean, we began back in the late 1980s, so we've been doing this and keeping people anonymous since then. So we're not the police. A lot of people, when you say Crime Stoppers, they automatically think that we're part of the police. We're not. We're an independent charity. And we're certainly not part of the TV programme Crime Watch, so you won't see me on there. As I say, we're independent, and we're certainly not a replacement for 999. If you've got an emergency, you contact the emergency services. And if you want to actually speak to the police or a police officer, then you contact 101. So we're here basically for the people out there that, for whatever reason, do not want to contact the police. Now, that could be for so many reasons. They may not want to go to court. They might know the person they want to report or give information on. So that's why we're here. And we offer an anonymous service. So you basically either can go online on our crimestoppers-uk.org website, or just search Crime Stoppers, or you can ring our free phone number 0800 555 111. And give us the information that you want to pass on. We don't trace your phone call. We don't have a 1471 facility. Online, we have no idea what your IP address is. It's all encrypted. So we have no way of knowing who you are. All we want to know is what you know. So for example, if I was to ring up Crime Stoppers and I just gave my name, possibly gave my address, we would take that information out. We would not forward that to whatever authority it was, because we're keeping you as well anonymous. And that is basically what the charity is all about. So we offer, it's 24/7, 365 days a year. And we also offer different languages. So for example, if you were to ring our free phone number and your first language wasn't English, you could tell the call handler what language you speak, and then we can get a translator for you. And that's exactly the same on our website. So when you go on our website, right at the top there's a drop down, you can choose whatever language you prefer, and the whole of the website will change that language for you, as well as that secure online form. So hopefully I've kind of covered a little bit. There's so much more I've got to tell you as well. So
Yeah, no,
I'll stop and let you ask me a question.
no, that's good. It's great, Fleur, because you know, some of what you've sort of just gone through is covering some of that misunderstanding, or those sort of perceptions that people have that Crime Stoppers is there as part of, as you say, it's not part of the police, it's an independent charity. I mean, just going back, because it's always interesting, I think, to understand, and I appreciate you might not have been there since the 1980s, and I don't think you have been, but why was it set up? What was the purpose of it?
Well, the actual reason, it was going back to the riots back on in Tottenham in London, and then our founder, Lord Ashcroft, who's Lord Ashcroft now, wasn't actually then, but he set it up because people weren't coming forward to provide information. And as I just mentioned earlier, it could be because of many reasons, that distrust of authorities, or they're scared. And it is a scary thing, reporting crime, absolutely, especially if you're close to the person that you're reporting on. So he wanted to give that anonymous reporting route, and we certainly don't judge. So we're not interested whatever reason it is that you've got for not reporting to the police. I mean, ideally, yes, report to the police, but if you feel you can't, then come to us and we will pass that information on for you. And that's it. That's your job done. And it's so important to, we all want to live in safe communities, and certainly here in the Northeast, we really want to make sure that everyone has a right to feel safe. And I encourage any of your listeners, if you know anything, but for whatever reason you don't want to go to the police, come to us. That little bit of information, you might think it's insignificant, but that really could help the police or whatever authority that we pass your information to. It could be HMRC, for example, or Border Force, whatever authority. It could be that little piece of information, that golden nugget, if you like, that can build a case and can lead to an arrest of the perpetrator or perpetrators. So it's all about, communities keeping safe. And I mean, unfortunately, across the country, drug crime, for example, they exploits the young, the vulnerable. We need to speak up. We need to stop this. And the only way we can stop this is by reporting it. If we remain silent, nothing's going to be done. We really need to come forward. So we're that other route, if you like. Ideally, ring the police, but if you can't, for whatever reason, just contact us and you'll remain 100% anonymous.
And that's particularly reassuring. And I suppose just a couple of things. I mean, our radio show is a very inclusive radio show, and it's listened to by all communities. But the radio station itself, Spice FM, is a world radio station in that it's in the West End of Newcastle, where there's predominantly ethnic communities, and it has a whole range of listeners. I suppose the couple of points is, as you say, people sometimes feel, I don't want to get involved, but I feel as if I should say something. And that's not to suggest at any given time that there isn't any courage or whatever it is. It's just, we live in a society where sadly people feel apprehensive, and understandably as well. So, I think that mechanism of being able to speak out anonymously is really reassuring. And secondly, the fact that it doesn't matter what your language, so to speak, all main languages. I think that's wonderful that you've got translators there to enable people to record and report things in their native, natural first language.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important, as you say, there's so many different communities, and that's why it's really important that we raise awareness of who we are and what we do. And we are there for people. You know, I do encourage people to speak up, and it takes a lot, you know, for someone to come forward. Absolutely. And you might not think as well that it might not be significant that what you know, but please do, you know, that information, as I say, could build a case. And we're not interested in you. That sounds a bit rude, but we're not. We just want to, you know, know the information that you have and pass it on. I should say as well, just to point out that, for example, if it was about you want to report your neighbour that was noisy, can you still hear me?
Yes, sorry,
Yeah,
we were
sorry,
just
the screen's just changed.
sharing the
But if you
screens.
want, it's okay. If you wanted to report that your neighbour was noisy with music, something like that, that would have to go to your local authority. We couldn't take that kind of information. But anything sort of criminal, I think, or even if you're unsure, have a look at our website, because our website, crimestoppers-uk.org, say just type in Crime Stoppers to search it. We've got lots of information on there, as well as sort of about keeping safe, you know, sort of looking after your property and things like that. So yeah, have a look at our website as well, have a good read about what we do, and it tells you, again, it goes through that promise of keeping your anonymity, and how you can report online or on the phone. And as I say, it's so important to come forward with information, if you have it, you know, and it's a safe route to do so if you can't, as I say, go to the authorities for whatever reason.
Oh, wonderful. And then that information, Fleur, you then what sort of tends to happen? Do you assess it and then pass it on to the relevant authorities, and then do they tend to act on that? Are they, are people assured that by speaking out and speaking up that something happens?
Yeah, absolutely. So what actually happens with the information that you give us, we then have a look through it and we make sure that there's nothing to identify you. So as I said earlier, if you mistakenly gave your name or your address, or you said you were the neighbour, we would take that information out. So basically we kind of like sanitize that report. We then forward it to the relevant authority, with a legal responsibility to investigate crimes and make arrests and so forth. And they then will thoroughly research the information that you've given. It might be that it's part of information that's building up a bigger case. So it might be that they might not read it now, but it might be later, or it might be that they can act on it immediately. It depends, obviously, what information you're giving. But as I said earlier, it's so important, even if you think it's a small amount or maybe it's not significant, please do come forward with it. And then, obviously, the law enforcement agency or whatever agency it is will act on that information and, you know, take action on it. Unfortunately, we can't tell you what's happened about it because we don't know who you are and we don't want to know who you are. But rest assured, whatever you do come forward with is forwarded on, and is actioned appropriately by the authorities.
Great.
So Fleur, over the years, are you able to share information that was given to you that did lead to you kind of stopping a major crime or anything along those lines?
We tend to, obviously, because the promise of anonymity.
Yeah, without
yes,
giving all names of, and with obviously we're keeping the anonymity, but are you able to tell us, oh, well, because of this information, we were able to prevent this, or this? Oh,
absolutely. I mean, we take at our contact centre, I think it's about 1,500 calls and reports a day, that the public thankfully trust us with the information and say we keep you anonymous. But absolutely, yes, there's a lot of well, all the reports that say action, but yeah, there's lots of cases out there that we've been able, with your information, to give to authorities that they've been able to solve. They've been able to bring the perpetrators, you know, arrest them, and they're in prison. So yes, absolutely, the information is key. Obviously, we can't sort of say the information's come from Crime Stoppers because we don't want to, you know, breach that anonymity of that person, but absolutely is crucial, and it just shows as well the amount of calls that come through, and how important that information is. So anything you've got, yeah, can certainly help to bring the perpetrators to justice. And we also, we also do have on our website Most Wanted. So if your listeners go on there, there's pictures of people that the police are looking for, actively looking for. So there's people on there. If you recognise those people, let us know, give us a call, or fill in the online form. But yeah, so it's so important, as I say, to come forward, because keeping communities safe and keeping our vulnerable and our young and keeping us all safe, it's just so important, isn't it, to come forward and report.
Absolutely, it's a part of the fabric of society, isn't it? Being having that feeling of safety.
Absolutely, and we all want to say, we all want to live in safe communities and be able to, go about our lives safely. But you probably will see as well, you'll see possibly when I do campaigns, because part of being my role is to raise awareness as I'm on here to do about the charity, but also we support campaigns. So for example, if there's a certain campaign about keeping areas safe, I obviously want to keep all areas safe, so you might see some billboards with Crime Stoppers on or anything like that. So look out for us as well, because we do all sorts across the northeast, as well as we've got volunteers, we've got some committees, so people thankfully giving up some of their time to support Crime Stoppers in whatever way they want to. Maybe it's to help with the stalls and give out leaflets and raise awareness of what we do, or it could be to help us with social media and things like that. So again, if you want to be a volunteer, if you've got time, go on to our website, have a look at our volunteering section as well, because we welcome everybody on board, whatever you want to do, and if you've got the time, that's great.
Well, thank you, and well done, Fleur. I think it's a great cause, and it's fantastic to see charitable activities happening across all sort of areas of community and society, right? People traditionally think of charities when it's to do with ill health or that type of thing, but I think it's fantastic that we have charities that sort of provide more additional social value and community value by addressing some of those challenges that people probably feel sometimes uncomfortable talking about, right? And then it's like, oh my gosh, crime, like the only perception or experience people have of or in crime is when it's either being committed or it's being committed against them. But it's something that happens sort of all of the time. And we all have a moral, ethical, and community responsibility to one another to support one another. So even if it's not impacting us directly, I think it's critical that people should, speak out. And if they're uncomfortable, I think the fact that we have an anonymized channel to do that is fantastic.
Yes, absolutely. And so, yeah, exactly. Encourage anybody that knows about that crime or has some information to come forward. Pass it on. We can pass it on for you. You'll remain completely anonymous when you come through us. As I say, it's do the right thing, isn't it? And protect ourselves and our communities. So yeah, please come forward.
Great. Well, thank you ever so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Fleur, it's crimestoppers-uk.org is the website, and the number's there as well.
Absolutely, 0800 555 111. So thank you so much. Thanks to your listeners, and thanks to you both. And take care. Thank you.
All the best.
Take care. You too. Bye-bye now.
Bye. And it was wonderful to have Fleur on the show. It's helpful, Jalf. It's it was a community announcement that people may not be aware of, but it could potentially save someone's life and things like that, couldn't it?
I think Fleur was very good. She was very informative, very precise, very knowledgeable. So it was great to have that insight.
It is. Anyway, you've been listening to Ammar and
Jalf.
We'll be back next week. It's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.